Yeah, your
So
write-up was detailed.
say again, Ken?
Your write-up was really detailed.
Yeah, so I probably should have asked for some more feedback from those things. I'm too
Oh, it was
independent on
great.
these things.
It
So I
was,
mean, it was. I'm trying to reach folks. Ken, I mean, within our group, I think people know what the glove is about, but I was trying to open it up and give people a little bit more to hold on to. But you can go on too long, right? And a whole page of there's also a lot of moving parts, right? So it's not. I mean,
links to
um,
it too.
yeah, yeah. Nico.
Yeah, I want to say I really enjoyed that interaction that we had at the end of the last meeting where we all got to share our experiences. And I think that would be really helpful, and especially if it's kind of guided. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a really great point. So I might attempt something like that tonight. Um, yeah, and also to break up some of the maybe the fire hose that comes out as we try to peel back the brain, right, to understand what's going on. Um, because tonight is largely about sleep, um, and and that seems to be there's a common thread, not for everybody. So, but there's enough folks that I've heard from David Golden, from Laura McClure, for example, that sleep was impacted, and a number of other folks. And I just got something today. So a pair of gloves arrived in Cape Town, South Africa, last week, and I've been kind of zooming with this gentleman because he was, it's a long way to get to Africa. We don't have enough neurologists in New Mexico, but it's still quite privileged compared to the number of neurologists they have in Africa. And so he's looking at trying to build a glove workshop there. So I might just begin, Nico, by kind of sharing kind of Ibrahim's note that I got today, and if that helps us to speak more about sleep and the glove, that is kind of what the notes today are trying to help us unpack, trying to find, what does sleep have to do with Parkinson's? You guys know better than me, but then how does the glove actually mitigate those sleep disorders for some folks? And so let me let me take the screen. Um, And and also just yeah, let me start on our page. So can you guys all see the GloveWorks page? Am I really sharing? Okay,
Yes.
thanks. Yeah, great, great. Then we had kind of a lighter meeting last week, and so there were a number of folks that kind of contemplated coming to our launch party. So I just wanted to share. I threw a picture on the donate page of one backyard scene as we were kind of bringing kind of the leaders of the GloveWorks together. So this is kind of the two teachers I work with at the high school, Janice and Lynn and Steve, and some of the college students and the alumni. Bo is the young man with Parkinson's himself, is a student of mine. So Margaret is here, the nursing professor. So we had maybe the perfect weather and kind of mid-November in New Mexico. The sun was still shining on the hills. So this is kind of a teaser, friends, for if we want to maybe do this annually. I would love to get kind of more folks out to the Espanola Valley. This is my backyard in Dixon, New Mexico. So Ken and Mary, this is kind of what maybe we can. I'm trying to lure you guys to
Well, I just
spend some
really
time with
need
us. Um,
to-
Oh, I'm there.
okay,
Just get me on a
good,
plane.
good, good.
What time?
Yeah, this doesn't look like Florida, I'm guessing, right? And so, but
Well, my
um,
sister lived in Flagstaff for a long time.
gotcha. Well, yeah, I think I see Flagstaff as kind of a parallel place to Santa Fe. So it's around the same altitude and similar mountains. It's probably not as discovered as Santa Fe, so even more precious in some sense.
Yeah.
We're 45 minutes north of Santa Fe, 25 minutes south of Taos, so we're also fairly rugged and undiscovered. Um, okay, but back to back to what I really wanted to share. So the theme of tonight is sleep, um, and to try to respond to Nico's suggestion, right, of greater interaction among the group. I'll just begin with something that came today from South Africa. So maybe a little bit bigger, but I can read this to you guys. Um, Ibrahim says that I've been wearing the gloves for 2 hours twice a day since last week, November, since last Wednesday. First night, best sleep in years, no difficulty turning in bed. My body felt as light as a feather. I mean, like the man is a poet. This is really beautiful. Have to admit, of course, the following nights, though still better, were no near the first night's experience. I remain positive. Also, between Wednesday and today, which was like yesterday, or maybe, and no, he's in the future, right? So he's even like his tomorrow is our today. I had 2 days, Friday and Sunday, that it required only one tablet for the whole day, where he's normally taking 8 of the 25 over 100, levodopa per day. And so like I'm not sure, it's a big investment to put these things on for 2 hours twice a day. But this is the type of thing that can happen. It's still hugely anecdotal because we've yet to really roll out the app where we can systematically kind of collect responses from folks. But I think Frank, you won't be surprised that you also were able to respond overnight to this. And so the hope is that there is some wide enough sweet spot that people can find relief immediately, that maybe tapers off but does not go back to zero. Is basically cumulative over time. You all know that's my hope, but the challenge is to kind of collect this information.
I have a
Um,
comment.
yes, please.
I don't know if you're allowed to comment now, but I
Yes.
was just up at Thanksgiving and Ken had given a pair of gloves to my brother-in-law's friend, and his wife made a comment to my brother-in-law that her husband was 50% better since the gloves.
Hmm. Hmm.
These
Well,
were
He's a
gloves.
nurse.
These were
uh,
gloves.
So that's amazing. I mean,
yeah.
he's a doctor. They're all doctors, and she's a nurse. And that's what she said about it. That was like 2 months worth.
Uh-huh.
September, October. Yeah, because we gave it to him in mid-September. So he wore them for 2 months.
Yeah.
Like I said, these were gloves.
Oh, I can't quite hear you, Ken.
These are gloves that his friend made. Pete made them in Fort Lauderdale.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Those are the pair that he's been wearing.
Uh-huh.
That's amazing.
Cool.
And he's
Cool.
had frozen leg syndrome that was really bad.
Uh-huh.
So there's hope there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mary. I mean, other people, if we did, so it's, yeah, there's the symptoms are all over the place. But if we try to stay on sleep, so Mary, did he expressly talk about sleep or?
I'm sorry, no, she just said that as a wife, her
Yeah.
comment was he was 50% better.
Yeah.
He was focused on gait issues.
Gotcha.
And what I liked about him as a doctor, I thought he could give us.
Hmm.
So next time, if I know the topic, I'll delve into it with the people.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mary. But as far as I mean, I think the caregiver being the reporter. So Frank, I'm reminded of something that Pam said, right? So it's one thing for the person with Parkinson's to know something about their sleep, but I think Pam was often subject to like flailing arms and things like that in bed, right? And which you're not even aware of course, right? But the caregiver is realizing that she can now spend more time in the same bed as you, because you are more, less flailing about. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very true.
Mhm. David, did you want to speak?
No.
Okay, gotcha. I thought I saw your frame lit up as you were, but maybe something. Um,
Yeah, I made noise by mistake.
gotcha,
Uh,
gotcha.
I'll
I
mute
could
myself.
I
Okay.
could introduce myself if
Yeah, yeah, Tamara, please welcome.
so.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
uh,
say.
Oh, that's
Once I
okay.
start the recording, I stop my greetings, everyone. Please
Oh,
introduce yourself.
anyway, I'm Dr. Tara Singleton, and I live in Ojo Caliente. I have a small practice in El Rito. My friend Malabika helps make the gloves, and so I was fortunate to come to this party and say hello. But I'm just interested in finding out more about it. My brother's at a time when he's becoming really quite discouraged, and so I just love to find something hopeful for him. I was told him I'm going to this meeting. I'd call him back afterwards. So I'm interested in finding out more about how they work and the studies that have been done.
Great.
Is
Thank
your
you,
degree
Tamara.
in medical?
Does she have a degree in medical?
Yeah, she's a medical doctor. Ken, is that?
I'm the interpreter.
That's correct.
Yeah. I did speak with I worked with a neurosurgeon at University of Texas in Houston during my years at Rice. He was largely, we were working on epilepsy and language, and but the person that did DBS in his department left a few years ago, and they've had trouble replacing him. So this guy Nithin's been doing DBS, and his dad has Parkinson's. This neurosurgeon, he's quite interested in the gloves, and we're meeting tomorrow by Zoom to start planning kind of some clinical trials. So at least for the Medtronic style, I think there are now 3 or 4 flavors of DBS that you can have implanted. And the Medtronics one actually has a monitor. So it's meant to be adaptive in the sense, that when it sees abnormal activity, it will up its current, for lack of a better word. Um, so it has monitoring ability, and so we're looking to use this monitoring ability for folks, wearing gloves in Houston at the UT Health Science Center. So,
I have maybe 4 patients with Parkinson's currently,
mhm,
and I know one of them has not been able to even tolerate basic Cinemet at all.
uh-huh,
And so we've tried a few things. To get into a neurologist is a year-and-a-half wait. So I
mhm.
basically communicate with the neurologist at UNM and follow their recommendations through their PALS line. So maybe those people would be interested in the study.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, Tamara. I'd like to talk to
Mhm.
them. Um, I mean, so that the adaptive DBS is literally down there listening for abnormal rhythms in the basal ganglia. Where the app that we're making large strides on kind of rolling the app will be able to kind of collect the right information. We still are trying to tune, so what then do you do with this app with this information? Because the information we're going to be gathering is fairly indirect because it's non-invasive. So we'll be able to monitor voice and gait and perhaps some muscle activity. Um, and so it's just meant to be a more non-invasive way of kind of fine-tuning the glove. So people like Frank and let's just say Ibrahim are having these kind of overnight changes. I think even Ken Toronto, I mean, I think you quickly had a change in your sense of smell also fairly acutely. For sure,
Right.
Kanwar responded acutely. So it seems to be there for some folks, and how to tune it, what even to measure, is super important. So the more people that we can kind of
Mhm.
bring into our world and kind of share data to to yeah, to
What
figure this out. So
One of the confounding factors in treatment of Parkinson is having a correct diagnosis. So I have one other patient who had a Parkinson diagnosis, but she had Parkinsonism. And
uh-huh.
then another patient with a diagnosis of Parkinson, it turned out to be this whole another thing, but you could swear it was Parkinson. But this last one that I just saw, so this isn't counting the 4 basic ones, but this one I saw last week, he he didn't have the jackknifing. He had the like the tremor, but he didn't have some of the other really important diagnostic factors of Parkinson. And I wonder if something like that maybe confounds some of the responses you're getting, because you can get all sorts of levels of diagnostic ability within the medical field.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Though that's a huge issue. Yeah, I mean, so that's,
Hmm.
I mean, I think we spent a little bit of time in the beginning reading kind of this Ending Parkinson's Disease text, where,
Uh,
that it wasn't until kind of the president of Intel, or the founder of Intel,
mhm.
gets Parkinson's, and he realizes that the measurement system is crap. He literally says it's crap. So he tries to develop something more quantitative. So it's it's really, really frustrating, right? There's still, and the estimate is like 20% of folks are misdiagnosed. And so, yeah, there are so many
Easily,
confounding factors.
easily.
Yeah.
And this one fellow, even I, as a family practice doctor, um, board certified, I saw through it. So,
Mhm,
so
mhm.
someone else, I'm sure, might have, but I don't know, what was happening in the office that day, and so I don't feel like I should criticize that person. I don't even know who it was, so just I'm not perfect either.
Yeah, but also, I mean, it's a visual diagnosis. That's done in a very short visit, that maybe not be characteristic of the subject, right? I mean, the behavior is different like every day.
Yeah,
So
if all you use is the one visit, you will
yeah,
miss.
yeah,
You
yeah,
will miss. You
mm,
need more than one visit
mm,
to make that diagnosis.
yeah.
And also they use the term Parkinson's as a bucket to
Mhm.
put in all kinds of different symptoms that people have.
Hmm.
There's really not one Parkinson's, there's multiple.
Yeah, the Parkinsonisms, Parkinson, and these other sort of different ones. One of the, of course, obvious things, if Cinemet doesn't work, maybe if you've
Maybe not
given the wrong
Parkinson's.
medicine for the
Yes.
wrong diagnosis, so
Yeah.
that should put up your antenna right away.
Hmm.
But I didn't come here to just criticize other doctors. But I'm fascinated. So how many people are you trying to get together for this study?
That's a good question. Yeah, so it's in the neurosurgeons kind of
Oh, okay.
milieu. And so tomorrow is kind of our first meeting with his staff folks that kind of, that schedule
Mhm.
DBS. And so it also depends, since it depends upon the particular device. It's only the Medtronic's DBS actually has the sensor in it. So
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure how many. And he also
Mhm.
says that the sensor is still kind of like the hardware is ahead of the software, and so even Medtronics doesn't really know how to do the adaptive DBS. So they're putting the sensor in there in the hope of kind of gathering information, kind of like we're putting voice detection, and gait detection into our app for the Glove Assistant to kind of gather more information. And so I'm excited tomorrow that it's happening, but I don't have kind of numbers for you.
Okay.
Um, Houston is, millions of people, and and he's a super successful neurosurgeon. So I don't think we'll have any trouble
That's right.
finding candidates. And the glove is really like, a low invasive, piece. It's
Exactly.
compared to DBS, it's a
Mhm.
walk in the park. So yeah,
Better.
yeah.
Which means
So if you could send me a website, because the my brother, I think, will need to check in and fill out something in order to
Yeah,
get.
yeah, yeah. He'll
Okay.
need to just kind of sign a quick
Yeah.
a quick
Yeah, if you
waiver
could
and give
send
us a
that
couple
to
of
me.
dimensions. Yeah,
Hmm.
so just Espanola GloveWorks into the Google will get you there.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
So some information on how these things work. I'll look at Espanola GloveWorks before I waste any more of your time, but it's
no, but
exciting though.
yeah, but take a look, and I want to know if there's
Hmm.
sufficient information there to kind of to
Hmm.
help people get aware. There's too many links with maybe not enough guides, but also too much guidance makes people kind of move on because it's too complicated. So it's hard to find that sweet spot.
Well, you're really trying to undertake a lot with this, Steve. You're teaching skills to young adults, you're educating them, and you're also trying to um, interact with people that are benefiting from the work that they're doing. And it's a really huge breadth of intention here. And I wonder if you're undertaking too much.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's so thank you, Nico, and it's super, I take this on because of the rewards I get from speaking to folks like you and their urgency of having kind of so little understanding, of a disease that it's a communal, like we've poisoned ourselves, by and large, through the toxins in our environment. So it just, I have this, it's not a gloom or a dread, but I have this responsibility. And also I've been like neuroscience and youth development have been the two kind of themes throughout my life. And they've always been at odds. It always felt like coming to northern New Mexico to teach kids neuroscience seemed like, they've got way, way, way more important problems. There's really, and so it's like a luxury to talk about neuroscience or math. But then all of a sudden, through Minna, this kind of glove project arrived, and all of a sudden, kids could actually make something that could have an impact, a positive impact on people's brains. And so I'm just like riding this train because it's so exciting to be able to, for once in my life, like bring together these two things, which I'm basically, so I don't, it should not be about me, but Nico, largely the reason I left Rice is because I was really doing too many things at once and not doing anything like well enough. And so I just decided to like leave the research world and just focus on youth development, youth development, youth development. Help kids find some kind of STEM identity. Kids that have been traumatized by having 2 or 3 years of full-time subs in mathematics or science or English or in anything. So those are the kids that I'm working with. Um, and so I do, so I think I succeeded in kind of focusing on mentoring, but at the same time, of course, there are all this kind of neuroscience and math fantasies or about the power of those tools, right, to change people's lives and not just kind of get them over the hump of kind of getting into college. And like the glove seems to be a place, where I can fit those things together. And so, but you're probably right. I'm probably like attempting too much. And there's the chance that, so after 30 years at Rice, I was spreading myself too thin. So maybe now I'm doing the app, you know, 2 hours a day, and I'm doing manufacturing 2 hours a day. I'm doing inventory 2 hours a day. I spent an hour today talking about insurance for nonprofits that way out of my bailiwick. So but I also have got great advice. So Julie is helping me write a budget. Julie's right here with us. Margaret's helping me better understand the health assessment, or even better, help let her and her students work on the health assessment side of the app. Tamara's going to be able to bring in, like local patients and the like. And Nico, just having a conversation with you was also like a great pleasure in seeing someone else that's also kind of bouncing these ideas around. So I am looking for partners, and I'm really, really uplifted by them. One of them is my wife sitting across the table from me right now. Um, she's doing the bulk of communications as people kind of sign up. She's doing the bulk of shipping and handling, which is, we're now sending out a couple of pair of gloves. I brought 4 pair home today, that need to be charged and glued in the final assemblies and Um, mailing labels, getting them to South Africa and to India. Anyway, so there are many, many facets to the project that I didn't anticipate. Um, but I'm encouraged by the response that I got from Frank early on, by the leadership and kind of the stick-to-itiveness of and the generosity of the two Kens that are here, and your generosity, Nico. Many people here have have donated well beyond the price of the glove. So
Are there some business students who could get involved in this with their teacher?
yeah, that's a great question, Mary.
Because I think you're talking about a lot of stuff that involves inventory and like shipments, and
Yeah,
those are
yeah,
kinds of things that kids should be learning about and that
mhm,
are important.
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. No, that's really good. Yes, I mean,
Entrepreneurship, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, all the engineering students and all the business students take a class in project management, and I see it, and it's it's fairly abstract, right? They're not managing a project. I mean, they're just kind of making something up. So yeah, we have a project now, and um, yeah. So yeah, but I've not reached out to those to that. As Margaret knows, I mean, we're a really small shop.
Yeah,
So
but I think that might be another
yeah,
step
yeah,
along the way as you
mhm,
feel your feet on the
yeah,
ground, to
mhm,
then reach out to that next level, to help let you do more things.
yeah, yeah.
It sounds to me like a startup,
Yeah.
Mm,
and where
mm.
you're doing everything, like cleaning the toilet and answering the phone
Yeah,
and
yeah,
shipping the stuff out the back.
I
And
yeah,
actually,
yeah. But I
I
mean,
actually,
but it's my belief that I mean, not that I've not been involved in any of the startup, but that's my belief that it takes someone. Also, to tell the truth, and I don't feel comfortable asking someone else to think about kind of insurance or bookkeeping if I haven't, or even, even kind of the mailing labels, maybe kind of so finding the right post office, someone that knows what a lithium battery is, and these are things that I feel like I have, if I don't, if it would take someone else maybe forever, or maybe they would even fail to do it because they would like try a couple of post offices and it doesn't work, yada yada yada. So
no, it is very complicated. I understand this. My daughter lived overseas. It's not easy.
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
But
yeah, and I feel like I've got to like find a path, and then I can hand it off to
And
some
then
to
I think that's very smart.
yeah,
And can you hear me?
yeah, Margaret. Yes, I can hear
Oh,
you.
I just wanted to say too, when I first talked to Steve about this, and I was asking him which parts, was it working with the kids or working on this neuroscience project, sort of interested him more. And he said, well, both, but really, as you're working with these students, it's also, he could move so much quicker. And I've been thinking the last couple weeks, I've been, but you don't want to ramrod over them, and and yet there's also an urgency for you folks, right? And so I think I've been trying to keep notes about what you guys are talking about to bring to the students, and I'm going to really kind of put a little bit more pressure in terms of the questions for the app, a little bit more pressure this week to say let's uh let's get this moving. But
Mhm, mhm.
I've been sort of sitting back because I want it to be their work. But I'm hoping that maybe a couple of them could come in a couple weeks and maybe run some questions by you and make sure that what they're feeling is, in terms of the app questions, the health assessment questions, are what's most important to you as folks using the glove. But I would say uh, now that I've been doing this for a little while, I can really sense that. I know Steve has so much on his plate, but on top of it, it's sort of also learning how to hold back and push forward at the same time, which is a challenge I felt for sure.
Yeah,
I thought it was interesting too that you mentioned some of the toxins that we're taking into our system, and I will point out that I do see patients that have worked in Los Alamos and have had various different problems resulting from exposures, and Parkinson is certainly something that we see coming from the lab.
Mm.
And
mhm,
these people have been exposed to, asbestos and beryllium and americium, and, just not to mention, various radioactive things. And so I'd be interested in hearing your point of view on the type of things that are involved in development of Parkinson in terms of toxic exposures.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean the lab with Espanola is at 30 miles. down the hill from Los Alamos National Laboratory, you guys, for people that aren't from New Mexico. The the Hispanics and Native Americans built the lab on the hill. We're kind of bust up there, and it continues to be the major employer.
Best employer, best salaries, best
Yeah,
benefits.
yeah. So it's a ticket to the middle class. Yeah. So the last thing I want to deny my students access to, but at the same time, there's still, active plutonium accidents among students that we're sending there.
Um,
Our our college offers radiation control technology, a euphemism for messing with plutonium. I mean, so it's
um,
bizarre. Yeah. Um,
That's very sad that that's happening.
yeah.
yeah.
Well, people want to send their kids to college, and like you say, it's a ticket to middle class, and they can go there, work, and
It's heavy.
Yeah. Um,
someone's trying to say something, and I'm not.
Meg, did you have something to say?
No, we're just a little late, and I'm
Okay.
just trying to explain to Ted what you were saying.
Gotcha.
But I was online today, and I saw someone asking. I think I can't even remember the name of the group, but someone asked about the gloves, the Espanola GloveWorks. Has anybody tried it? And I wrote in and said yes, I had. And there was I was wondering because I came in on the conversation a little late, and I wondered did you talk about get out there, getting more info out there to the public?
The group's name is PD
PD Avengers.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was PD Avengers that I read that.
Yeah. So Meg's question was whether we've tried to get to spread the word, right? And so, um, I guess I've been kind of back to Margaret's point, so are we a sweatshop of teenagers, or are we kind of youth development? And so can we be making 5 or 10 gloves a week, or should it be, two or three? So we currently have a wait list of about 20, and without ever advertising, just by word of mouth. And so I believe kind of post Thanksgiving, our inventory is good right now. I think we're in striking distance of bringing our wait list down to zero, and then building an inventory so that folks that do maybe want to bring, say, a dozen gloves into their community, and folks here online have asked for that, and I've not been able to deliver it because we had this wait list of people that were waiting. And so Meg, I'm afraid right now to publicize too broadly.
Sure.
Also, you guys have been generous, with your feedback and with me sending you repairs for various fingers or various boxes.
Yeah, I just
And
sent you something
yeah,
today to thank you for the
yeah. And
gloves that you
so
sent, the second gloves.
so I'm hoping in the new year, that with a more, robust design and an inventory, where we're not playing catch up all the time, that we might be in a position to advertise.
But I think you're also showing the kids that, things don't happen overnight
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
you have to plan and you have to like take each step as it comes
Hmm.
and you can't like go ahead of yourself. And I think that's really important for them to see.
Yeah.
Mhm. I was at a support group this morning, and here on the East Coast, and I wished I had had a printout to give to the woman who was running it to to pass around, uh, so more people get more information on it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Meg, that's good. And so I did. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I have made a flyer. So
Okay.
Bo and I went. There was a New Mexico Biotech Knowledge Fair 2 weeks ago in Albuquerque, and one of my students went down for that, and we kind of gathered flyers. It's largely kind of venture capital, doing kind of wet science stuff, not doing kind of hands-on biotech like what we're doing with students in schools. But nonetheless, we built a, you know brochure that can help people understand from scratch. Sending people to a website is maybe fine, but being able to hand them something as you're asking for. So I'll put that flyer on our front page, and if you care to print them, then
Yeah,
you could share them. Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Okay.
One thing you need to be careful of, Steve, is that stuff like this grows exponentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you
Yeah.
get too much out there, you're going to be overwhelmed.
Well, there are two girls in at Rice doing this, and they have
Yes.
a nonprofit, and it's called Connections, and they've been on YouTube, and
Hmm.
I have the YouTube blurb, and I show it to people at Parkinson's events, and they put their names on the list. And
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
shared you so much because I don't think you're at that point.
Yeah. But I mean, either are they in some sense, right? They're not delivering for
They're not
quite a while,
either.
but they're
Yeah.
taking orders. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's,
Hi, this is Ken.
hey, Ken.
I worked for the Rice team before I discovered your group, and I agree. I got in one of the prototypes early on, and they were very cordial and very polite and very helpful. But since then, they seem to have hit some snags, and I haven't heard from them, and they haven't produced or sold anything from what I can tell.
Well, they started a nonprofit and they took orders. They got 500 orders, and then they stopped taking.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know what to do with. I mean, I can imagine next year making 500 gloves, but that's over the course of the year. So I guess so, but I agree with David. I could be overwhelmed. So I mean, I'm speaking kind of actively with folks in Detroit, with folks in Santiago, Chile, and now with this guy in Cape Town, New Mexico, about building glove workshops there. Um, I recently got a grant from the Encantado Foundation to offer 5 workshops for northern New Mexico teachers, so that other high schools in the region could build this glove workshop of their own. So we're making kind of a turnkey youth development lab where kids can learn 3D design, circuit design, soldering, electronics, and some interaction with folks suffering, from diseases. Um, and
Mhm.
so I do feel like this is, especially in the third world. I mean, so I should not be sending, dozens of gloves to Africa. We should just teach Africa how to make gloves. And the same with, so Santiago happens to be kind of the epicenter for Parkinson's. I don't quite understand why, other than that they've got a lot of air pollution. Um, and so I am now working with my fellow teachers and the students. The students are now making training videos. Once they've been making them all along the way for each other, and now we're making training videos that we can hopefully, you know, publicize and with vendor recommendations and vendor lists. So right, rather than China sending something to New Mexico and then me sending it around the world. Um,
Yeah.
and so that was part of the letter that I sent out to you guys, kind of the fundraising letter. We
Mhm.
are very close, I think, to having, a working app that has the ability to kind of collect the right data. Whether we know how to use that data to tune the glove is a research project I don't have the answers for, but we need the app to first collect the data. I've only been collecting anecdotal things through email, right? And to get to Tamara's point, I don't even know if these folks even really have Parkinson's, right? Because of the diagnostic
Yeah.
problems. So we just need to collect a lot more data. So that's a big thrust. And then also in the new year, this other thrust is seeing whether this model can be replicated. I mean, making up the pair $125 seems to be a pretty reasonable price point for people just to experiment and to see if it
Yeah.
can possibly work for them. Um, Especially getting testimonials from folks like Frank or folks like Ibrahim that I read to you today. Um, so, Meg, I began today with a testimonial from a young man in Cape Town who had the best sleep in years after the first day of wearing the gloves.
Oh, wow.
He, not under my advice, but he dropped from 1 tablet down, from 8 tablets down to 1 for 2 days in the past week. And so
Oh
some
my,
people are having an acute response to the glove. He's trying to start a workshop in South Africa where he could make these things locally.
wow.
Yeah.
Well,
It would
Um,
be wonderful to get them around the world.
for me, the elephant in the room is the
But
world.
Okay, so can I? Are you facing the microphone? I think I'm not able to get your sound.
You know,
I'm I'm
what I was
sorry.
saying was that for me, the elephant in the room is potential patent infringement and the role of Stanford forward.
Um,
Yeah. So many elephants. Yes. And uh, so I wonder. I mean, Nico, would you like to? Because you've been moving into this. You've already had startups that have done kind of biohealth and tech and your light business and so I'm totally naive on that. We're just kind of pushing ahead. I reached out to Toss. Toss wouldn't talk to us. Um, there is an unfilled need. My students get a big lift from reading testimonials from folks, right? And so I'm just going to keep on pushing on. It's a nonprofit. Shame on him if he's going to like come after us financially. He can maybe shut us down, but I I'm not I've got nothing to lose. But I know it's a very stupid and kind of naive thing to say. So I'd like for folks that
No,
have been in the business.
I think it's a courageous thing to say, and I think it's courageous for your students to have that model to go to learn something important.
yeah,
Yeah.
important.
But Nico, you have experience in this space. So
Well,
what's your
yes, thank
advice?
you. The first thing though that I just want to reiterate is listening to you, you're running a small business. And everything that you're working on is amazing. And I'm concerned that you've taken on so much. And when you hear my next comments, um, I wonder what the focus is. Is it education and training young people to be interested in science and making a difference in the world? Or is it to be like a commercial entity and promote people using gloves and working with institutions and those gloves perhaps to do some clinical work? And, so I wonder about that. But to answer your question, if you're successful, we're successful in getting more interest in this type of technology, there'll be knockoffs on Amazon for $29.95 in 3 years.
Mm,
Huh.
yeah,
And some will work and some won't.
Of course not, but
yeah.
They're out there now.
But then there will be something new that will work, in 5 or 10 years. I mean, there's always something new coming up the line.
The glove actually has a bad reputation. Most neurologists think it's poppycock.
well, there's a lot of products on the market right now that sell hundreds of thousands of units a year for vagal nerve stimulation through a variety of different tactile interactions, if you will. So, what Steve is referring to is my history is with bright light therapy, and I introduced the Happy Light, and I watched it go from a premium product with a very small audience to a mainstream product that was widely copied on Amazon and sells millions and millions of units a year. So I've seen categories grow, develop in, if you will, alternative type health applications. So I think this is really exciting. And I find it very frustrating that the research that's occurring and being undertaken in large universities that show some promise are being withheld from commercialization because they're being kind of finessed into expensive Medicare accepted technologies and products that are sold by big pharma and require prescriptions, whereas this is a saltogenic type of healing. And intuitively, people see it and you explain it to them and they get it. And so, I think this is really exciting, but it's very quickly going to become mainstream, not just for this movement disorder, but for other applications.
Hmm.
Yeah, and your technology is different than Rice's technology, it's different than Taz's technology, except you're using his vibrations. But if you're adaptive, if you come up with adaptive modifications, that's totally different.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I mean, I think there is space out there to distinguish ourselves from TAS on the back to the patent issue that kind of Ken Toronto raised.
Yeah.
I guess so. There.
I wouldn't worry about that. You're a nonprofit organization. I mean, you're selling 100 or 200 or 500 pieces a year.
Mhm.
It's not worth their lawyers' time.
Yeah.
I mean, commercially, you're never going to be able to be successful because you're not a company.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, it really seems to me that this is something that you're working on now, which is amazing, this technology. But as someone said, you'll be moving on to other things. And really, the most important, it seems to me, that the educational part and bringing students into the arena where they can feel satisfaction from working on something that actually means something to someone.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I mean that remains the primary focus. But I also but each time we make, a small advance, I realize, how little we know and how few treatments there are out available. And so the urgency kind of pulls me kind of out of our small nuclear feel good,
Mhm.
it's as Margaret can see and Minna as well. So it's an amazing environment, of kind of this grad students, college students, high school students, volunteers, professors, um, and people sewing and people. So it's a kumbaya moment, right? So it's already kind of a dopamine rush. And it really, really works. And I think that model, now that we've been doing it for 2 years, can be replicated at other schools. Um, and maybe it'd be great, Nico, for attacking other disorders. I mean, going after depression, going after kind of the vagal nerve stuff, and there's so little, I guess, yeah, so little kind of research that's being done. But if we really can kind of show this viable app that we really can kind of collect the right data non-invasively daily, right, from folks that we can use to make decisions, I think that's but and that may look like I'm like overreaching or something like that, right? But I've got amazing students that are learning how to write apps, and largely the bulk of the apps that my college has been writing are about like identifying trees or identifying or the kind of best baseball players and looking into databases like this. So it brings kids into the world, but they're really, really sterile compared to what we can possibly bring, to folks that need daily monitoring because they can't get into the neurologist, and when they do get in the neurologist, it's such a quick observation.
You're
So.
right. I think with my brother, the neurologist, I went to, I zoomed into one of the meetings and she just asked some basic things and she didn't really understand what was going on. And he
Mhm.
was, the Cinemet was wearing off. The
Mhm.
his wife didn't understand that, thought he was being passive aggressive. 1 minute he can do something, an hour later he can't do that. And
Mhm.
then the stress was making it worse for him. And then all she seemed to realize is he's bicycling 10 miles a day and, all active and all this stuff, but didn't understand where, how much he was really suffering. And then he gets an appointment 6 months later. He needed
Mhm.
follow up on this problem so urgently. And I don't think she meant any harm. She just didn't understand how desperate he felt.
Mhm.
And I think that's a big problem with, just not listen. Well, if you're not hearing what the patient really is saying, even though you might try. And so, and then there aren't that many neurologists. Like I say, it's a 1.5 year wait to get a neurology appointment here at UNM. And it's really difficult. Let me just ask, and I know this is the first time I've been here, and so everyone else I'm sure knows this stuff, but to explain it to my brother and get him interested, how would you describe this glove thing?
Yeah. So that's
And so he's
so
an educated guy. He's got a master's degree. He's a computer scientist,
gotcha.
business
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe
So he's
he
not.
could be a business consultant. That's
Well,
his field.
that would be lovely. That would be. Thank you. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
yeah. So how does the so what the glove does is easy to explain. How the glove works remains for all of us here an active research project. So,
Hmm.
but what the glove does, right, is it delivers a very weak vibration for 1/10 of a second across the four fingers of each hand. Um,
Hmm.
but that it then shuffles the vibrations. So there's not a discernible pattern. So they're random vibrations across the
Hmm.
fingertips. Um, and the timing of these vibrations, 1/10 of a second, for maybe taking almost a second to sweep across all four fingers. So it does that 3 times and then 2 off periods, and then 3 times and 2 off periods. The most salient explanation, the explanation presented by Toss, the only one to do clinical trials on the glove so far at Stanford,
Hmm.
his explanation is that he is disconnecting an overconnected network in cortex. And so the one of the upshots of insufficient dopamine in the basal ganglia is that
Hmm.
too many connections are made in motor sensory cortex. He doesn't explain how that exactly. So we've talked about how that could possibly happen, but
Hmm.
basically with kind of lack of dopamine, lack of a regulator, too many connections are made in cortex, and
Hmm.
playing vibrations that lead nowhere to the fingertips breaks these connections. So it quiets the cortex. Of course, you don't want to overquiet the cortex, right? And you don't
Right.
want to shut things down.
Hmm.
So this basically kind of 3 on waves and 2 off waves, 3 on waves and 2 off waves is a way to kind of trick cells into no longer needing each other. And so he's lowering synaptic weights in cortex.
Okay.
That's a putative explanation. That is really, really far from scientific truth, um, largely because it's unethical to go into humans wearing gloves and look at their synapses. We don't have the resolution for that. So we've been reading papers about rats and monkeys and some human work to try to better understand at least the pathways that we're talking about. And we've talked a lot about synaptic plasticity. Um, we've seen maybe too many models. Thankfully, tonight, perhaps we're not going to see a single picture of a brain region. It's been basal ganglia, basal ganglia, basal ganglia.
Uh,
And tonight, and we can postpone these things, would be kind of what I thought to maybe be the final look at neuroanatomy. And then I was hoping to lean on my partner
sorry.
Margaret. No. Don't apologize because this is I'm hoping, this is what kind
Mhm.
of, Nika was hoping to kind of bring out more, more discussion. So
Will he feel tingling in his
yes,
fingers?
he will. Well, so someone else should. I've worn them, of course, but I don't have
Mhm.
Parkinson's. So can other folks talk about the sensation they feel as Tamara wants to try to help her brother understand this? What's the sensation that you feel? Is it a tingle? Is it a buzz? Is it obtrusive? Is it entertaining? Is it musical?
It's a
Soothing.
tingle and it's a buzz and it's kind of annoying in a way, but I wouldn't say it's musical.
Good
But
to see
it's
you,
a
Julie.
hi, Tamara. I'm so happy to see you. She's my former primary care
Oh,
physician right
gotcha.
there.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
It,
And so, yeah, it's
it is a
tingly.
buzz.
Yes.
What's
What?
that, Meg?
It is a buzz. And
Buzz.
I've answered the phone with my gloves on, and people have said, "What's that noise?" So people can hear it.
So one
You
of
know.
the problems my brother has is with dexterity. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking, having seen these gloves or whatever you want to call them, it's going to be hard for him to put them on by himself unless he's had a dose of Cinemet already.
Yeah, if he had someone that could help him put them on, that makes it a little easier. My husband is good at reminding me the time and putting them on for me.
Mhm.
That does
We,
help.
I do have an amazing video from Jennifer Heath, who's here, showing us that she can put them on herself. And
Oh,
so
I can too.
it requires ingenuity, acrobatics. Um, Jennifer, would you do it? Do I have your permission can I share that video online with folks? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Um, so it's some measure of determination. A couple of us in the group are kind of battling, with how to build kind of tools for the people can kind of pull them on better. And we don't have anything that works for everybody. But for folks that are on their own, yeah, it's not easy, Tamara. So
Crochet hook.
A
I'll share
dose of
with you, Jen.
Cinemet and then
Yeah,
put them on and
Try,
maybe. Yeah.
try a crochet hook.
a
Yeah.
crochet hook. Yeah, yeah. So we're looking at something like that. In fact, we are.
The
Yeah.
end of the day, the last finger is the tough one.
Hmm.
You can get to
Just a
everything
little
else.
patience is all it takes. I'm able to put them on with by myself and take them off. Probably the frustrating part is taking them off when you got to go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
that's a common complaint that I get, right? Is that like
he
two
first.
two
That's
2 hours is not going to happen. Yeah, between
Yeah.
bathroom stops.
Steve,
Yeah,
Steve,
yeah, Ken.
any progress on like a spring-loaded fingertip? Because the rice glove really had an advantage there because it's very easy to put them on and take them off.
Uh-huh.
The disadvantage was they had used very thin elastics and they didn't tend to last that long.
To snap. Yeah,
But
yeah,
they were talking about moving to like some type of spring.
yeah. Um, yeah, we've got something you know in the queue that Bo's been working on. But I mean, it's probably fine for folks that are like super active and the like, but it's not. But for people without, he's struggling to put it on himself, but he's a machinist, so we are looking at other mechanisms for allowing you to kind
Mhm.
of slide in
Have
like
you
the
examined
rice
have
glove.
you examined the rice plans?
I have, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Also, the students will probably enjoy figuring out ways to do come about.
They do,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So there's plenty of ingenuity. We had a clamshell, design that I think Roger Larson, who's often with us on Mondays, has kind of shown us these, large clamshells, which were pretty. So I guess they were
Mm.
so easy to put on that they also were easy to fall off, right? And so
Mm.
that was the something that we're still struggling with. Um,
There's so
so
much to be known about Parkinson's, and one of the things that just amazes me is it's such a risk factor for osteoporosis, but neurologists don't order bone density studies. They
mm,
just don't even think of it, and they need to come on board and join the rest of the world with, looking at all aspects of this disease, not just the
mhm.
tremors, one thing, but there's so many other parts we don't understand yet. Sorry, I'm just mouthing off, but
No, it's
there's a lot to know.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So true.
Steve, this
yeah.
is Bernie.
Hi, Bernie.
I'm, before we end up today,
Mhm.
we might want to think about creating an agenda for the next meeting,
Yeah.
give some structure to it,
Hmm.
such as, you're giving an update of the production, of the usage of the app, of questions you've received, but then have a time for people to share their experiences, their usage, um, a topic of how a neurologist can interact with the patient, some examples of that. Um, you know, uh, how does the the gloves really work, but just that there's an order to a process to give us some continuity in our learning and understanding. And I know that we can't just jump into that tonight, but we could identify some other pieces of what an agenda would be pieces of agenda that would be helpful to people.
Cool, Bernie. That's a great idea. Yeah, yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I've been living in kind of professor mode, where there's, as Tamara said, there's so much that we don't know about Parkinson's. So it does just begin following the fingers up to the brain and then following the brain down to the fingers. Um, and but also we've all got, different responses to the gloves and you guys don't have my privilege of being in the workshop. And so kind of giving feedback for what's happening there, and finding ways for you guys to to fit in right to the discussion. And yeah, yeah, I've been running it more like the sage on the stage, and I live for your I love your participation. I mean, as a teacher too. I mean, I do pause on occasion and hopefully to get other people. But producing an agenda is a great idea, and it may also help other people feel like they're just not, like they're not just tuning into a lecture, that they're not really ready for or don't know, the beginning or the end or where this might be going. So,
Yeah.
um,
I do when you do the, if you will, the teaching time, and then if somebody joins new, they could always go back since you have the notes and catch up. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Can you see past discussions?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, and yeah. I mean, all the previous Zoom meetings have been recorded, and I typically I don't turn off the recorder until we're done for the night. Yeah. So
Are they on
and
YouTube?
they're on the Espanola GloveWorks Journal Club page. Yeah. So on our Espanola GloveWorks page, up at the top, there's a home, there's a journal club, there's a donation page. Under a journal club, there's a list of all of the subjects with the papers that we've been reading and Zoom recordings.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
people can listen to them before they start
They-
listening in one night. They can listen to a couple of them.
They can. It's a heavy lift for folks. I recognize that. You know,
Though
um,
they're all interesting in their own way.
yeah, that's sweet, Mary. I hope that's the case.
Well, that's what I've done so far
Gotcha.
from my perspective.
Yeah. But I think what Bernie's recognizing, is that the organization of them is not readily apparent, right? So if they're when I send out kind of reminders that so we do meet, every second Monday. I send out kind of the topic of discussion, and I'm hoping, and typically it's been kind of 5 minutes of welcome, Steve yapping for 30 to 45 minutes, hopefully um, with some kind of some comebacks. Often Ken Toronto having something smart to say, and spot on. But there's not been enough of that, and that's been a failure on my part. So Bernie, can I ask you just can you send me a draft agenda from your remarks?
Be happy to.
Okay, thank you, and I will act on that for next time. Yeah.
But you might need somebody to help you in that action.
Uh,
So you may think about it in the future if there's somebody can partner together to make that
Yeah.
happen. Maybe the students.
Yeah. So, I mean, Margaret mentioned earlier. So, Margaret Zach here is the nursing professor, and we have an intern in common, that's working with us on the health assessment side of figuring out, that not only what are the right questions, but what's the right tone, what's the right frequency, right? These are all things we want. We want the app to be also entertaining and enjoyable, but not trivial and stupid, So all these so I will I will lean on Margaret to help run some of these sessions and to bring student voices in. Getting them to go ahead, Margaret. Yeah.
I was just say, I'd also like to say that I really appreciate the neuroscience, learning that. I think, just what's been expressed tonight about how short visits are with providers. I know anytime or a family member has anything, like, you get such a small explanation from a provider many times. And, so I found them really interesting. Sometimes I get lost, but I've been really, I love tuning into those, and I don't have Parkinson's. So, so I hope that continues. I hope everyone feels that way. I hope that also continues, because I think it provides a wonderful intellectual stimulation to the group as well as the community aspect. So.
Yeah, I'd like to do the sleep one we missed tonight.
Good, good. Then,
Maybe
yeah,
you fit
because
that in
it's
next
it's.
week.
I'd love to do that next time. Yes, yes. Yeah, because we're already 8:09. You know, and and sleep and quality of life. These are huge things. And as Tamara said before, well, I mean, dopamine is such a small nucleus of cells that create dopamine, but the impact throughout the brain, is just super, super powerful. Um, but it's also very, very indirect and even contradictory in some places. Some places it's excitatory, some places it's inhibitory. Like, what kind of thing is it? And so, for better or worse, the best way to learn that is from people that are low on dopamine, because we're figuring out, what its impact is on what we thought to be normal function. And sleep is part of that story. And it's a very exciting story. And I think also sleep has been, just in general in neuroscience, sleep has not been well studied. It's not, it's not as sexy as a lot of other neurological disorders. It's something that all of us do, and we should all, it's going to, kind of blame the victim type of thing. And also it's such a generalized thing. Like, what happens between, like, what is consciousness? It gets to all these great, great questions that have been kind of hands off for kind of dyed in the wool experimentalists. And so there's really been a gigantic renaissance of sleep research in the last 20 years. And its connection to Parkinson's is huge, because the basal ganglia, like movement disorders, the basal ganglia is front and center in sleep research. So
Has anybody tried the gloves for sleep problems?
that's a great question. I believe the answer is no. And so Nico, who was on earlier, would love to push that. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
I found my
I would
sleeping.
love to try that, Dr. Steve.
yeah.
I would love to try the gloves for myself
Gotcha,
for
gotcha.
this music.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's. I mean, we do have one participant in Santa Fe, Patrick. He basically wears them to bed. So he says they help him even, like, fall to sleep. So some people do find them quite soothing. Um, so I don't. But again, that's I feel guilty pitching kind of one or two anecdotes like that, right? They're important. These are individuals, but I really want to understand more, right? And so we have over 100 pair out there. We really need to be gathering more systematic data. But Lynn, yeah, you should take a pair home and see if it helps you sleep. Um, yeah.
Didn't we get a report last week? I'm sorry, I can't remember who spoke up about getting really great sleep. It was a new,
Um,
maybe
yeah,
it was,
yeah, yeah. I think it was Lauren Trapp in Scottsdale.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That
Was she also the woman that was sort of feeling it as a pattern, kind of
Yeah, yeah. She
wave?
was feeling
Yeah.
something kind of
But
going across the fingers rather than in individual fingertips. Um,
I think one of the things that happens with sleep, there's this idea that you should fall asleep and sleep a certain amount of hours and wake up, and maybe that's not how everyone is designed to
yeah,
sleep. Maybe you
yeah.
sleep a few hours here, a few hours there, and I tell my patients, you sleep the way your body wants to sleep. What matters
Mhm,
is if you're refreshed. You don't have to sleep between one certain time and another. You be you.
mhm.
And yeah, it's fascinating. These type of preconceived ideas we have, The main thing is if you can be refreshed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now I mean,
Mhm.
hopefully the glove assistant, the app we're building, will allow us to personalize the stimulus pattern. But also now
Mhm.
with things like the glove and with apps, we can really monitor sleep without being in people's way, right? We can monitor the, activity, of hands and limbs. So, but let's pause that discussion and talk about sleep next time in 2 weeks
Okay.
time. Okay. So it's already 8:15, already 10:15 on the East Coast, our Floridians.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks, Tamara, for joining us. It's really powerful to have an MD, hopefully keeping us more honest than, well, we try to be honest, of course, but I'm not an MD. Okay.
Look forward to reading more about it and see if I can get my brother to look into this. And so that will be exciting. And he's someone who can contribute, that, computer scientist, a business person. He may have things to offer. So anyway,
Cool. I'd
good
love to
to
meet
see
him.
all of you, especially
Thanks,
Julie.
Tamara.
You take care.
Thanks, Tamara.
Bye.
There we go.
I'll turn off the recording. I'll stick around if people want to chat.